Hey everyone, join Swendly and I as we talk about how to clean up this Medusa character design that Swendly created. I'm going to share with you lots of different tips and tricks throughout this video while Swendly and I are talking. I'm going to talk to you about things that I learned while I was at Walt Disney Feature Animation, to if you're a left-handed or right-handed artist, how does the force line play into cleanup, and also with that force shape. So come join us, and let's check it out.
All right, so here we are. We're back. We've
Hey everyone,
gone
join
through
Swendly and I as we talk about how to
process of
clean
getting
up this
to our
Medusa
final
character design that Swendly created.
And Swendly
I'm going to share with
is
you
showing
lots
us
of different tips and
here
tricks
now how to
throughout this
go
video
into
while Swendly and I are
cleanup,
talking.
right?
Now it's
I'm
time
going
to
to talk
clean
to
it
you
up.
about
One
things
thing
that I
that I've
learned while I
learned
was at Walt
from
Disney Feature
working
Animation.
as a
To if
designer
you're a
is to
left-handed
something
or
I noticed is that
right-handed
sometimes I was
how does the force
too eager to
line
go
play
to
into
the
cleanup,
cleanup
and
just
also
to
with
have
that
something
force
finished. But
shape.
now I
So
focus
come
more on
join us.
functionality.
Let's
And
check it out.
even when cleaning up, I think it's important to mention that you still need to clean up with functionality, with force in mind. Otherwise, you risk losing all the vitality of the sketch.
Yeah, that's true. As everyone's seen, you've gone through quite a bit of work for us to get to this video and to this final design. It would really be a shame to take all that work and throw it out the door, right, by killing it.
Yeah, you have to keep it relatively loose and still stay in the same mindset.
Yeah.
As you did the sketch.
Yeah, when I was at Disney and when I just started and I was in in-betweening and cleanup, that was one of the notes that they would give us to be aware of is when you're doing cleanup, it's easy to fall into this idea of feeling like you're tracing something, like you're doing here, right? 'Cause you're going over your own drawing versus feeling more like you're redrawing it again, right? And just with clear decisions. But it's this feeling of, okay, I'm drawing it again. I'm drawing it again. And I think that was really important. There's some kind of very huge change in your mind, even though it sounds simple with words to say, oh, I'm going to go through this shift, but it is actually a pretty big deal to move to this place where you're still trying to draw it out, but you're doing it more precisely, right? More cleanly. And of course the force line helps here because as you can see the way you're inking or doing cleanup is you've got nice A to B thinking, thick to thin lines. You're getting from one moment to another with every clear decision.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point of doing the drawing again, I aim to make it even better. Yeah, when I ink it, to improve the drawing where I can.
Yeah, it's cool how you're keeping, we were saying, all this aliveness. To me, it's very interesting to go through this sort of final process because even if you're someone who doesn't draw like this in the rough phase, this phase where you hit cleanup, like it forces you to make your final decisions. And I think a lot of artists have a tough time with that, just making the final decisions. What's it really going to look like now in the end?
Yeah, and as you can see, I redo the line a lot. I'm very picky with the lines. I really like to keep it as clean and clear. I would say as clear as possible.
Yeah.
And that is what leads to the cleanness. Like right here, if you can maybe pause the video at this point. As you can see, I had a straight line. But then when I drew this fold, I was thinking this is applying force here. So it should be, the shape needs to push out there.
I see.
So that is what I meant with making it better. Because if I was just tracing, I would have just traced a straight line.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so you're fine now that sometimes what happens is as you're like cleaning it up, you still discover new things, and that's cool. That level of discovery.
Yeah.
Also, just to call this out, another thing I know I've been asked by people in the past is like, how do you get it to look so perfect? You can see Swendly very often is overextending the line and then racing back and overextending and racing back. It's very difficult to just land in the right place and stop a force line right in the right spot because you have all this momentum going, right? So typically you'll overextend and erase it, right?
Yeah, and especially when working digital, it's quite easy to do.
Yeah.
Traditionally, it would be a bit more challenging. But then again, I think from my experience, at least when drawing traditionally, I can control the drawing tool better.
Right.
Even after all these years and working digital, it's still more controllable for me than working digitally.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's cool.
And I zoom out a lot, check the line work, check the clarity of the shapes, and zoom back in.
Yeah, you just erased all this work you just did, and you're going to do it again now to get that like belt line there.
Yeah, because it wasn't showing the turning edge that I had clearly. So
I see.
now it's landing precisely on the turning edge that I drew earlier.
Yeah, it's cool. Another thing you're doing, just to call it out, is you keep rotating the canvas a lot, right? I guess to find the comfort of your hand, right? Relative to the line you have to draw.
Yes, especially when doing long curves or longer lines, I find it handy to rotate the canvas, like you mentioned, to a position that's more comfortable for my arm to be able to hit that curve.
Yeah, I think like you're a righty, I'm righty as well. And curves on this side are the easiest to draw at that angle because your thumb.
I'm left-handed, actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. You're going after this curve over here on the bottom is very normal for a right-handed curve, where like the ones over here in the shoulder and trapezius are more common for a left-handed curve. Because if you just put a pen to paper and you just created a line, it would naturally curve like this. And right-handed, the curve goes this way. So it's interesting that you were able to hold this control pretty well. It's like inverting the curve that your hand wants to make. So normally what you see when people are flipping is it's because of their lefty or righty and they're trying to hit this curve all the time. Like for me, just so everyone understands, I'm a righty. So this is the most natural curve I can create, right? And as a lefty, normally this is the most natural curve. And that's because since I'm a right, that's how here's my thumb or whatever, right? It's like this, and I'm holding a pen like this. And here's my other finger, right? So it's holding it like this. So its natural arc for the fingers is to do this.
Oh, yeah, I see.
You know what I mean? If you're a lefty.
I think that the skating the page exercise really helped me to control my lines in different directions.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think staying soft and fluid, like you said, in skating gives you control to go in all directions better. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But like I was saying, I think the natural thing without any of that stuff is definitely those two types of curves. So it's interesting that you were that you're a lefty and that you were okay with this. See here, what you're doing, this is a very lefty thing. You see this? Because you're pushing curves that are convex off to the right because your hand can very naturally make these curves. Is what I was talking about. For me, this would be tougher, right? I would rotate this the other way around. Yeah, I would go more here. Yeah, this is where my hand would be comfortable.
Okay, interesting. Not something that I really thought about in the past.
Yeah, and I've even played with what's more natural. Is it more natural to go from top down or from the bottom up? Usually top down. It's also more human nature to pull your hand into your body than it is to push it out. So usually it's are you lefty or righty? What's your natural curve? And usually you want to pull your hand in. Doesn't say always, but that's a natural thing. That's where your anatomy would be most, that's the word I'm looking for. That's most common, right?
Yeah, I see. And now that you mentioned that, I remember that back at the industrial design, the drawing teacher had us draw straight lines from the most uncomfortable angles without rotating the page. It helped me to break out of the habit of, or I should say it helped me be more comfortable with drawing lines at normally uncomfortable angles.
Yes, sure. Yeah, I think all that practice is good. If you're going to be an artist, it's like one of your skills, just like if we were plumbers or carpenters, if you want to get good, you need to know how to swing a hammer efficiently. That's not going to kill your arm all day long and hit a nail on the head. And the same thing comes for us. Our skill is, can you really control your marks? Can you control your lines? Know how your body works, know where your weaknesses are, and build them up to strengths, and go through the practice of actually controlling your hand. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to scrub through here. So you came to this moment here in the hand where you're cleaning it up, and then all of a sudden you go, no, I'm not going to clean up anymore. I'm going to redraw it. All the way at the end. Here we are. We're at the end. So what made you decide to do that?
I realized that the structure of the hand was still a bit too loose because I really roughed it in the previous stages. So I just wanted to go back in there and make sure that the placement of my lines made structural sense.
I see.
So here I'm going through the insertion of the claws on her palm and also with her thumb, and make sure that the shapes would read correctly, all that stuff. And here I come in and clean it up.
Yeah, so you got to that from over here in the blue. Oops, there. So from there over to here where it's all cleaned up.
This video of Swendly and I talking about Medusa, by the way, comes from a product that Swendly and I created on how to do character design, and we used Medusa as the subject matter, and we go all the way from the very beginning of the process of character design all the way to the end. So check it out. The link is in the description.
It's tricky
Yeah.
too when you have something so complex, right? Something like all these shapes overlapping each other. You did a good job of trying to stay away from any kind of odd tangents here. There's so much opportunity to go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I think the analogy you use is pieces of a puzzle, all those
Yes.
shapes. I think thinking about it in that manner helps you stay clear. It's all about clarity at the end of the day. And sometimes you have to cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the old Disney animations, if you look at some frames, they cheat the structure for clarity's sake. But because it's clear, you don't notice it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to a mentee this morning, in fact, and we were looking at some of the Disney drawings. There's one from Robin Hood of Little John that I love bringing up, where the nose is not structured well to the head, but the ear, you can see they cheated. It's also not, but you can see that she made a better silhouette than what it was. And you don't really see it unless you like rebuild his head. Your mind is accepting of it.
Yeah, I remember you showing me that in the past. Indeed.
Yeah.
If it's technically accurate, but it's not clear, no one would care because they don't understand what they're looking at anyways.
That's true. So this is cool. You tried a couple of versions of her eye here, right? It's like thicker and then thinner.
Yeah, I think I didn't want to lose, or I noticed that I started to lose the expression that I had in the beginning.
I see.
So that's why I kept redrawing it to make sure that I had the crazy deranged look in her eyes.
Yeah, we can't lose that. It's interesting because the shape of the black of the like mascara or whatever is still straight to curve shape design. It's still thin to thick to thin. And it's basically two force shapes, one that's arced all the way across the top of the eye, and then the second one, which is the eyelash, right?
Yeah. Even at this stage, I'm cleaning with four shapes actually.
There's like this, which is number one, and then there's like this, which is number two, right? And this is still our curve here and our curve here, and then our straight and our straight, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that applies to the bigger shapes, but also when you go to the details, you want to maintain the straight to curve design for appeal.
Right. Yeah, and that appeal thing is like, what does that mean? To be really simple, everyone, what we mean by appeal is that things stay alive, that they stay fluid. That at least is what the industry is trying to convey with this concept of appeal. Appeal is a funny word. It's always a tricky thing because appeal, we could definitely argue, is subjective, right? So just to clarify, what we mean by appeal here is that this stuff actually is moving, that there feels like there's energy in the shapes moving from place to place. And there's therefore rhythms that are created, and that is appeal. It doesn't mean that, even for me, it doesn't mean I don't like artists who draw very stiff drawings. That's appeal. That's appealing to me, but that doesn't have rhythm in it.
Yeah, and I think another reason why the force shape is like inherently appealing or more interesting than a symmetrical shape is because of contrast. You have a straight in contrast to a curve.
Yeah.
Here I pulled up the drawing of her head that I had earlier, so because I had troubles drawing her left eye.
I see.
So I pulled up the sketch I did earlier just to make sure that I stayed on model with it and the structure worked properly.
It's like peeking out over the edge here I see. So you made the eyes much bigger and changed the shape design, right?
Yeah, to match what I established earlier.
Yeah, man, that made a dramatic change to her face right there. Now she's even crazier than before.
Yes,
I see. Even more wild-eyed. If you want wild eyes, a simple trick, let the iris and the pupil float in the white, right? Normal people walking around day to day, the iris does not float in the white of their eye. Usually the eyelid covers some edge of it or edges. As soon as you float it, it makes somebody look like they're crazy.
yeah, and make it smaller.
Yeah, make it smaller. Yeah, that makes it float even more, gets more intense. Yeah, bring on the crazy. Just open up your eyes. That's all it takes. Open those lids up. People will stay away. Just walk down the street like that. Stay wide-eyed. Nobody will come near you. All right, so here we are towards the end of cleanup. They've done a great job of these like really beautiful thick to thin lines. They have nice tapering, lots of force, good shape design, lots of appeal.
Here I'm increasing the line weight in places for most of the time for a clear overlap, to show clear overlap, and also sometimes to show more applied force or make objects feel heavier. If you had like a bag, I would make the bottom darker just to show the pull of gravity on it.
Yeah, you can see that you went darker down here in the clothing, and then also along the bottom of her arm. You thickened up the sweep.
Precisely.
Just spinning this thing like a merry-go-round. It's like a top. Yeah, so here you can see it in the bottom of the arm. You can see over here, you added some really beautiful thick to thins. Yeah, it's really nice. I also, by the way, I love the spotted blacks. Having the claws in black and her mouth and the eyeliner and yeah, the claws. All of that really helps this design pop also.
Yeah, and I made the claws in the inside of the mouth, I think 90% dark, so they wouldn't obscure the line work. So
Nice.
it's just a little lighter than
Black.
the dark around the eyes, for example.
All right, so let's move on to the next step, right?
Yes.